Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at evaluating exponential functions. And we're going to do this without the use of a graphing calculator. We're only going to be able to use a small little 4-function calculator. Okay, so let's take a look at evaluating these. The first thing that we want to do to make it easier to get this, just in our head, is we want to strip the exponent into 2 pieces. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to create a unit fraction, and that just means this, that there's a 1 on the top. So we're going to leave the denominator the same and create a fraction that has a 1 on the top. Now, in order for that to actually equal, right, I have to put an equals. For that to actually equal that, then I'd need to raise the result to the second power, because we know that 1/3 times 2 is just the same as 2/3. So that really is the same thing. Okay, so that's why we can do it. So now we need to remember from Algebra 2 that the cube root, I'm just going to look at the blue part here, just this blue part. The cube root of 8, this is what that means, right? The cube root of 8. All right, this 3 right here is the root, and that 1 right there is what's really sitting right here. Okay, and so now we're going to just take that and square it. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to remove that 1 because we're not used to seeing a 1 there, so we're going to remove that. So the cube root of 8 is just 2. Well, then I'm going to go ahead, okay, and write that squared that we haven't used yet. So again, this blue part right there now is this blue part, and that blue part now is this 2. So if you follow along, we realize that the answer is just 4, and that was really very simple. At this point here, all I was doing was looking for what times what times what is going to give me 8, and they have to match, and that's obviously a 2. Okay? Hi, Leonard. So let's take a look at this next one. We're going to take the 16 and we're going to write, my cat Leonard has come to say hello. Okay, so this is 16 to the 1/2, and then we're going to raise it to the 3rd power. 16 to the 1/2 and then to the 3rd power. Again, we're creating a unit fraction, so it's 1 over whatever the denominator was, and then we have to use the 3 so that it ends up being really 3 halves, right, that we see here as the exponent. So now, what does the 1/2 mean? That means the square root of 16. Why? Because there's really an understood 2 there and an understood 1 there. That's where the 1/2 can be broken up into its appropriate places. Okay, that 2 is called the index. All right, so what's the square root of 16? Well, 4. And then we're going to have the 3rd power, and 4 to the 3rd power is 64. And there's the answer. Okay, pretty simple. Let's move on. So we have 27 to the 2/3, and again, that's going to be a 27 to the 1/3, but then raised to the 2nd power. So that means we're asking the question, what is the cube root of 27? So the cube root of 27 is 3, and now I'm going to raise that to the 2nd power, and that's just a 9. Okay, now what in the world do we do if we see a negative? Now, you're going to need to remember that a negative exponent means that the base, right, this is the base. This is the base. I'm going to write base right there. The negative exponent, if a base has a negative exponent, then it means that the base is on the wrong side of the fraction line. Well, wait a minute, Miss Savelle, I don't see a fraction line. Well, then make one. Make it a fraction if you don't see one. So whenever I see a negative exponent, make sure that you're looking at a fraction, that the base is in a fraction. And if it's not, put it over 1 and make one. Okay? So here it is, and this thing is all raised to the negative 3/2 power. What I'm going to do is take care of the negative first, and then I'll deal with the 3/2. Okay? I'm going to deal with the negative first. We deal with them separately. So if a negative exponent means that that base is in the wrong place, it's on the wrong side of the fraction line. I'm going to say it again, it's on the wrong side of this fraction line. Then that means that I should put the 4 at the bottom and the 1 at the top. Now, once I move those bases to the correct position, now my exponent is is going to just be a positive exponent. Pretty cool, right? So now let's go ahead and continue. Now, just because it's a fraction, don't let that fool you. We're still going to do the same thing that we did before. Strip the fraction down to a unit fraction, and then we're going to put the 3 outside. Okay, convince yourself that this is just the same thing that we did before. Here's my number raised to that blue power. Here's the same number raised to the split blue power, right? Okay, so let's keep going. What is this meaning? This means what's the square root of 1/4? You're like, I'm going to get a decimal. No, you're not. You're not going to get a decimal because this means that, right? We know what the square root of 1 is. We also know what the square root of 4 is. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. Now, let's finish it up. 1 cubed is 1. 2 cubed is, careful it's not 6, it's 8. And there's the answer. Now, if you try to do that all in one step or two, you might get lost and you probably will make a mistake. You know, maybe you make a mistake, I don't know. But you really do just need to do it one step at a time, and it's really very simple. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Oh goodness, this next one. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. Now, let me show you this little reminder from Algebra 2. Come over here to the left side over here. We all know that negative 2 squared is positive 4, and that's because the negative is with the 2 being squared. If you put in your calculator this right here without a parentheses, you're going to be surprised to see that the calculator tells you it's negative 4. That's because this one is a 2 being squared. This one is a negative 2 being squared. Well, this negative right here is just going to be placed in front of that answer once we're finished. So here's what that means. That means that the only thing getting raised to the 0 power is 5. So what is anything raised to the 0 power is 1. But what do we do with the negative? We're going to bring the negative around to the front. We're going to let the negative stay at the front, but this is going to be replaced right here, is going to be replaced with a 1. So my answer is negative 1. Okay? All right, so now just to confirm, let me show you another one. What if I had a million? Right? A million to the 0 power. If it's positive, then anything to the 0 power is what? 1. Okay? All right, hope this helped. Thanks a lot.